Here at Lincoln University, we have a plethora of different students from all over the world, from multiple continents. Australia, we have students from the Caribbean, we have students from the continent of Africa, Latin America, and of course, African American students. With these multiple groups present, the campus is always a hub for diversity. However, how this diversity is experienced can only be narrated by people who have lived through it.
I can't say for other schools, but from what I've seen here, I feel it's seclusive. It's very seclusive and it's very clear, like it's glaring, like everybody can see it.
I feel like, okay, in my own opinion, it's inclusive. Diversity in itself, in as much as it's different things, it's basically bringing those different things together in appreciation of what we all have as a person.
For me, I think there's both, but I think it's more seclusive than inclusive because I mean there's some classes where you're really close to your African American friends, but other than that, in the big classrooms, you see how like the Africans are always like on one side, like there's still a separation that is very noticeable. Even in the calf, when you eat, there's that division.
Because most times Africans are always by themselves. Most times the Caribbeans are always by themselves. Most times the African Americans are by themselves and the whites are by themselves. So I feel it's seclusive, even if we don't, largely outside we don't accept it, but in our way of life, everyday living, it's obvious that you can see that it's very seclusive.
Even people who are from different states in America, you see the ones from Philly, going together, the ones from New York going together.
Because if we are together, let's say in class, it's a class, so everyone is there. But aside that, once you go out of class, you see people working together. As if it's Africans, it's just a group of Africans on their own. If it's Caribbeans, Islanders, they are on their own. Americans, you rarely see that mixture of. This is a table. If you go to the CAF, this is a table filled with Africans and then African Americans. All of most times, if you see them mixed, it's more of they're all international students being together.
Yeah, or some of those people, most of the islanders that were born here. Or who have naturalized.
People from the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, more
like that.
The reason for that is individuals. Like we just have a certain view of each of us. That's the reason why sometimes it's inclusive, sometimes it's exclusive.
I think it depends on the individual and the kind of things you do.
Although the diversity at Lincoln University cannot be overemphasized, it can also not be denied that as Black people, between the Nigerians and African Americans at every HBCU, there is a common string. It ranges from our ancestors to those practices and belief systems that have transferred from generation to generation, regardless of which side of the Atlantic we found ourselves.
I feel included because I'm Black.
Okay.
I do feel included.
Yeah, I feel included.
Yeah, yes I do.
Definitely, because I mean before coming here, I did not see myself as that. We as Black people, more of I could say a Nigerian or an African, but getting to America, when that's how you identify, they don't care if you are coming from Africa, you are just Black, and that's what separates you. So yes,
I think it's inclusive because if you don't open your mouth and we all stand, we're all seen as Black, so they can't tell. Even if sometimes we don't share their historical, but if they say that because you're here, you're inclusive. Black power.
Because I feel like we're one and the same.
Okay.
Something it's just like saying, like there's a parable we say in Nigeria. If oil stains this finger, it'll go around to the remaining fingers. So whatever touches a Black, like first of all, coming here, right? When I'm looked at first, I'm not seen as a Nigerian. I'm seen as a Black person, an African American, first of all, or a Black person in general. Wherever I'm located in the world, the first thing a person sees is a Black person.
Similarity. I mean, beyond we sharing melanin, it still boils down to Africa, but as you've said, raised in different environments and by different people.
It's just like saying, let's say a child is born here in America and he grows up in somewhere in Africa, Nigeria for example. He will probably behave more like I do and behave like an American, African American, just for the fact that he grew up and he got the culture of a Nigerian setting than an American setting.
And the professor will ask questions, just general questions. And then if you look at it, most times in the class, we all have we all agree on particular things. That if a white person is there, it will be
Weird.
if it will be weird. But I feel for me being in that class, I'm the only African. So being the African, I'm always thinking I'll be the odd person out. But when they ask a question about, let's say, you know, I don't know if that's a good example, but African parents be like, if this child misbehave, I'm going to beat you. I don't care. And then you have the feeling that being in America, they'll be like, I beg, no, don't do this to this child. But in the class, you see students, if that child does that to me, if my child cursed back at me, I'm going to beat the hell out of that child.
So,
And then I'm like, okay, so I'm not
we
the
still
only...
share, there's something.
At the end of the day, we're all black people, and that blackness comes with us wherever we go because we take it down and wear it with pride, intentionally or unintentionally, apologetically or unapologetically. That being said, although the places that we grew up in might differentiate us with culture and ethnic identity, but because we are all part of the black race, we cannot escape the fact that there is a common string that ties us together. At the end of the day, all of our ancestors trace back to the motherland, and that is where we get lots of the things that have evolved over the years to become what it is today all over the world for black people. As my friends would say, black power. In all of this experience, the media has not played a very positive role to shape either of the ideologies. When people are on the continent, they see images from the United States and they see white people, they see that it's a Western country. Even when you do see the black people, it's basically stereotypical and very, very myopic in expressing the realities of black people or who black people in America really are. And coming over here, you also come to realize that the media over here portrays the African continent in a rather disrespectful manner. So these two images have definitely played a huge role in how both cultures assimilate. Hence, when Nigerian students come here, first they don't even know what HBCUs are, and that being said, even a lot of Americans don't know what HBCUs are. So when Nigerians get here, they first have to readjust to the fact that yes, there is a place in the United States that has like 80% black people, and we fit right in based off of how you look. But then, not knowing much of the culture of African Americans, there isn't much for them to work with. Everything is a culture shock, and everything is foreign to them. Some of these presumptions are shaped either by mainstream media through movies, television, music as well, while others are shaped through word of mouth. And even with personal testimonies, these stories have only been made more accessible by social media, which again is the media. The media can be positive or negative, but in this case, it's been mostly negative.
There were different types.
Violence or drugs.
They are not given much privilege in the society, and they are trying to fight for it.
Yes. Mostly gangster movies and drugs or killing or violence.
And then you have the one where they've been exhibited as like a good family. But I think the one you see the most were the gangster.
Sakila and the Spelling Bee.
Lean on Me.
The movie Sister Act.
It was a very inspiring movie.
The principal of my school was trying to make a point out of it that it does not matter even if they're different persons, if you look different amongst everyone, you speak different, that it doesn't matter, just know your stuff and then be bold to say it.
it just gave me an impression that nobody is useless.
I knew a lot hip hop songs, Tupac, the All Eyes on Me, Dear Mama.
Go shorty, it's your birthday.
50 Cent, VIP, in the club, changes to
Lil.
back.
Destiny's Child, Destiny Kids.
What's that one?
Lollipop.
I would
Lollipop,
say-
right?
Yeah, Lollipop.
I say Akon Lonely, Eminem, Love the Way You Lie, Toy Soldiers. One of my favorites were Eminem, My Name.
I'm a survivor, something like that, and Michael Jackson.
I'd say Lil Wayne, How to Love.
Although for these students that were interviewed for the purpose of this presentation, they've all chosen to hold on to more inspiring movies that featured a predominantly black cast, or they all did choose while they were back home in Nigeria. However, you can still see that the vast majority of movies that they've seen portray black people in a very restricted or in a square box where they put all these black characters, and it always has the same narrative or a similar narrative with very few of the other side of the story to keep the balance. Media framing refers to when mainstream media reports or tells the story one-sidedly or from an angle, the angle that they want the viewers to know the story from. This typically results in people not knowing the complete story, not having an objective point of view, because their views are already being influenced by how the story is being told or what parts of the story they're being told. That being said, it is important to also note that media has a large or even the largest role to play with these presumptions within these two cultures. So media goes a long way to determine what African Americans think about Nigerians, as well as what Nigerians think about African Americans before they even meet in these institutions called HBCUs. Thank you very much. My name is Constance Ebenfa, and this is the experience of a Nigerian student at the HBCU.
From Lagos down to America.